What's good, TBC? What's good, fight fans, boxing heads around the world? B Marsh with another boxing video. So on this day in boxing history, June 4th, 2005, Kostya Tszyu defended his IBF strap. He went out to Manchester, England to fight the number one contender by the IBF at the time, Ricky Hatton. You know, this fight was in Manchester, England. The man Kostya Tszyu was a long-time champion at junior welterweight. He got this particular belt, the IBF belt. He got it when he beat Zab Judah and made Zab Judah do the Harlem Shake. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, Kostya Tszyu has even been the undisputed light welterweight champion of the world at one point in time. You know what I mean? Remember, he had the WBC belt. He won the WBC belt when he beat the Cuban guy Hurtado. And he unified the WBC belt with Shambe Mitchell. Shambe Mitchell had the WBA belt at the time. And Kostya Tszyu actually beat the man twice, you know what I mean? Actually, before this particular fight right here, Kostya Tszyu versus Ricky Hatton, Kostya Tszyu's previous fight before this was with, he beat Shambe Mitchell in the rematch. So this particular fight, you know, Kostya Tszyu was a Russian guy, but he was based out of Australia, you know what I'm saying? He was basically Australia's favorite son at the time when he came to boxing, you know what I mean? So, you know, the man Ricky Hatton was coming in as a guy who was unbeaten. He had an undefeated record. I think at the time he was like 39-0 at the time, you know what I mean? Of course, you already know Floyd Mayweather is the first man to give Ricky Hatton his first loss. But this particular fight, man, I don't know what the odds were back when in 2005, but this fight was definitely an upset, you know what I mean? The man Kostya Tszyu was coming in with his IBF strap, already recognized worldly as the undisputed champion at light welterweight. And in this particular fight, the man Ricky Hatton, basically he bullied the bully, man. You know, Kostya Tszyu was a guy who was a come forward guy, a pressure fighter. You know, them fellas always fighting on the front foot. You know, he's a kind of guy who's he'll employ roughhouse tactics if he has to, by any means necessary to win the fight. You know what I mean? But this particular fight, man, the man Ricky Hatton came out like gangbusters, man. The man was throwing the jab, throwing the left hand. That left hand, when he was throwing, it wasn't even like a jab. It was like a straight left hand, you know. He was fighting on the front foot. The man, Ricky Hatton, was the pressure fighter. You know what I'm saying? He was catching the man with them straight left hands. And even at a point in time, he even wobbled. He wobbled Kostya Tszyu in this fight in the very first round, you know what I mean? Because he was landing flush shots, you know what I'm saying? And the man Kostya Tszyu knew from the jump, from round one, that he's going to be in a dog fight. You know what I'm saying? And, man, round two, same thing proceeded, man. The man Ricky Hatton was catching that man. He was basically fighting, you know, they'd square up, and the man Ricky Hatton would swarm the guy, and he'd come forward, and by the time he came forward, he would close the distance, and he was getting that man Kostya Tszyu on the ropes, and he was hitting him with uppercuts, man. In that second round, he hit that man Kostya Tszyu probably with a total of 7 uppercuts, you know what I'm saying, on the ropes. Flush, neck snapping, head bobbling kind of uppercuts, you know what I mean? And Kostya Tszyu, like I said, man, for the most part, he was clinching, you know. He had to hold this guy who was coming in like gangbusters, you know what I mean? So in the third round, you know, Kostya Tszyu still clinching, of course. You know, the man Ricky Hatton is coming forward, you know, he's putting the pressure on him. He even caught that man Kostya Tszyu with a wicked body shot, you know what I mean? But Kostya Tszyu in this particular round was fighting better than the first 2 rounds. In round 3, he was fighting better than the first 2 rounds. You know, he was He was clinching, and he was also throwing punches with conviction, you know. She got caught with a vicious body shot. You know, Ricky Hatton was vicious at going to the body. You know, he was a hellacious body puncher. You know what I mean? And that's how he stayed close to guys. Because, you know, he was a short guy. But I think in this particular fight, the man Kostya Tszyu, I think Kostya Tszyu was the shorter guy, you know what I mean? Or maybe Ricky Hatton was. I think Kostya Tszyu was probably about maybe 5'7", and so was Ricky Hatton. Or maybe Kostya Tszyu was 5'6". I'm not too sure, but definitely the man Ricky Hatton was the inside fighter, you know? He wasn't about that boxing on the outside stuff. There was no way he was going to win the fight boxing from the outside, you know? In round 4, Kostya Tszyu got caught by a beautiful right hand by the man Ricky Hatton, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, the man Kostya Tszyu, man, it's not looking good for him. For the first 4 rounds, you know, he's only won 1 round out of the first 4. And Ricky Hatton, of course, is fighting in front of his home crowd in Manchester, you know. It was an electric atmosphere out there that particular night. And, you know, Ricky Hatton, you know, he's putting the pressure on the man. He's hitting him with them hooks to the body, also hooks to the head. He's going to the body. He's just throwing punches in bunches, you know. His work rate was excellent in this fight. But in round 5, Kostya Tszyu picks up the pace himself, you know. He catches the man, what's his name, Ricky Hatton, with numerous right hands, you know. But I think one problem, this man, Kostya Tszyu, in this particular fight, he wasn't throwing the jab enough, you know. And I give credit to Ricky Hatton for neutralizing Kostya Tszyu's jab, because, you know, he was swarming the guy. He wouldn't let the man get set, you know. So in the early particular rounds, Kostya Tszyu tried to throw the jab, but for the most part in the fight, he abandoned the jab because he had no room, no space to throw the jab, you know what I'm saying, to set up any other shots, you know. In round 7, that man Kostya Tszyu was looking tired, man. You could see that man was definitely getting tired, and there was a time they were fighting on the inside, and the referee broke him up, and he broke him up and let him go back. He said break, get back into fighting, and that man Ricky Hatton lunged in and hit that man Kostya Tszyu with a low blow. Man, a vicious low blow. The man Kostya Tszyu went down on his knees, you know. When I had initially first saw this fight back when, I thought that was a body blow, but it was definitely a low blow. And, you know, after this particular low blow, man, Kostya Tszyu, all his energy was zapped out of him, man. He wasn't the same guy. It was a pretty competitive fight up until that moment, you know what I'm saying, when he got hit with the low blow. In round 8, the man Kostya Tszyu, he resorted to his old tactics, you know, them tactics like when he fought guys like Shambe Mitchell, throwing the man all over the ring. He threw, you know, like wrestling with the guy, and he basically was wrestling with the man Ricky Hatton and threw him to the ground, you know what I'm saying? It was a round he was losing, but after he threw Ricky Hatton down to the ground, the man's Kostya Tszyu came on strong. There go them uppercuts I was talking about in that second round that he took. Hellacious uppercuts, you know. And like I said, from Jump Street, man, Ricky Hatton had a game plan and he stuck to it, you know. He bullied the bully. Yeah, but round 8, Kostya Tszyu came strong, you know. He finished strong in that round, and definitely gave him that round, you know. But, you know, the issue with the man, Kostya Tszyu also in this fight, he kept getting beat to the punch, you know. The man was basically waiting, you know. He was, you know, he wasn't quick enough like Ricky Hatton. Ricky Hatton wasn't leaving nothing to chance, you know. He wasn't waiting to see what this man is going to do. Wasn't no feeling out process for Ricky Hatton in this fight. This fight right here was come forward and put pressure on Kostya Tszyu all night. You know, that's how Ricky Hatton was. That's how he was 39-0. He used the same tactics he used when to be undefeated at this particular point in time. You know what I mean? So he kept getting beat to the punch. You know what I'm saying? He's getting caught with hard hooks, left and right hooks to the body and to the head. You know, this man Kostya Tszyu got a buzzsaw coming at him, and you know he's breathing real hard in this particular fight. You know what I mean? Even his punches don't even have any conviction on him in that 9th round. He was, it was basically arm shots. Just throwing his arm out there. You know what I'm saying? And Kostya Tszyu's looking mad weary and exhausted in this round. Round 10, the man Kostya Tszyu, Ricky Hatton, he had a great work rate throughout the whole fight. And he's throwing left hooks to the body, jabs and straight rights. And Kostya Tszyu caught the man with a 1-2. It was a convincing 1-2. One of the hardest punches he hit the man Ricky Hatton with and stopped him in his tracks, But like I said, man, there were far and few in between, man, I'm not gonna say Ricky Hatton didn't get hit by Kostya Tszyu, but Kostya Tszyu didn't throw enough punches, The man, if Kostya Tszyu threw 3, the man Ricky Hatton would probably throw 10, And that man Ricky Hatton caught him in the corner and trapped him in the corner and hit that man with a vicious uppercut that bobbled his head back like a bobble doll, man. And Kostya Tszyu, man, he was looking, man. To be honest, if you watch this fight, in them last rounds, ever since probably around like round 9, the man Kostya Tszyu didn't look like he wanted to be in the ring anymore, man. He wanted like he wanted a way out, you know what I'm saying? He was looking exhausted. He's even bleeding from the mouth. And round 11, this is where the man Ricky Hatton basically sealed the deal, He's catching that man with jabs. Even the jabs are snapping Kostya Tszyu's head back, you know what I'm saying, in that 11th round, you know what I mean? And Kostya Tszyu is exhausted. Ricky Hatton is not, though. He has excellent work rate. He's in there digging to the body, putting the pressure on the man. And I've only seen Kostya Tszyu 2 times in my life, in all his fights, be fighting on the back foot. And that was in this fight, and that was in the first fight he ever lost against Vince Phillips when he the first man to give Kostya Tszyu a loss. Vince Phillips took the IBF strap from him, you know what I mean? For about 10 years before this fight, that was in 1995. This fight is in 2005. You know what I'm saying? And, excuse me. So, this particular fight, in that 11th round, Kostya Tszyu was looking exhausted and beat up. And he didn't answer the bell for the 12th round, man. He retired on his stool. You know what I'm saying? And Ricky Hatton became the champion that night. You know what I'm saying? He took the IBF strap from Kostya Tszyu. Kostya Tszyu had that belt for many years, Like I said, he took it from Zab Judah and that's when he became the undisputed champ. You know what I'm saying? Kostya Tszyu came into that fight with what's his name? With Zab Judah back when with 2 belts, and Zab Judah had the IBF belt. So the man Kostya Tszyu got beat on this night, man, and the man Kostya Tszyu never fought again. This was the last fight of his career. The man finished with I think his record was like 31, maybe 32, and 32 wins and 2 losses. You know what I mean? And Ricky Hatton became the Lineal Ring Magazine light welterweight champion of the world and the IBF champion of the world, you know what I'm saying? And he went on to, defend the title against guys like Luis Collazo, a fight which was pretty controversial. It was a tough fight, but controversial, you know what I'm saying? He went to fight guys like Juan Urango. He beat Juan Urango in a unanimous decision. He fought guys like Jose Luis Castillo and disposed of him with the body shot. He fought Floyd Mayweather, Paulie Malignaggi, Manny Pacquiao. And he finished his career with a loss to the man Senchenko, you know what I'm saying, in Manchester. So, that's a summary basically of on this day in boxing history. This is a significant fight in my opinion in boxing history because Kostya Tszyu, like I said in previous videos, man, to me, in my opinion, he's definitely a top 5 junior welterweight of all time, you know what I'm saying? And the man Ricky Hatton dethroned him. Alright, y'all, that's my video. Let me know your thoughts about this and comments about this fight. And if you like the video, hit that thumbs up. And please subscribe. Be Marsh Boxing. Peace. Damn.